So we're back in here, and this is where we left off last time. We have a ball that rolls off, sort of falls in this very mechanical motion. Something else that I noticed is as we look at our graph here, the apex, which is the fall off of our bounce, should get much shorter as the ball falls. And if you look at the difference between these two here, it almost falls at the same height, which is sort of impossible. I mean, I know we're working in a field that sort of dabbles in the impossible. So let's pull this down. So we want to do something like this where it almost falls um, at sort of this constant rate and it falls smaller. So something like that. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so what I'd like to do is work on I believe it's the ninth principle, which is timing of animation. So that's sort of just looking at the way how quickly the ball bounces. So I'm going to actually shift this key over just a little bit. We're going to look at this arc here. And when we select this key, now mind you, I have all three of these selected. So if you're like, where did this go? And then when I select on the Y of this, what I'm doing is um, it's just zeroing in or just kind of focusing on the y-axis, which is the up and down. So let's press play on this. You can see it falls a little bit quicker, and that should sort of accelerate over time. So the spacing or timing and spacing between these two should be a little bit even, but to the extent, right? So let's watch that out a little bit. Okay, and we'll space that out a little more. Now the next thing we want to do is we have this very rigid. Well, let's go ahead and add some nice fluidity. So I'm going to select these top three here. This we can do it by holding Shift 2 if you can't marquee by left clicking and dragging out. And what we're going to do is if you highlight over this, you'll see we have plateau tangents, we have auto tangents. These are different. Step tangents is another way when I start off all my stuff, my character things when I'm doing in step. So if we click plateau, you'll notice that we get a nice little arc at the top here, and then we get a nice hard hit. So let's watch that. So you can see it rolls off, curves down a little bit, and now we've went from that hard movement to a softer, more circular bounce like that. All right, so now we're going from our plateau tangent to our flat tangent. Remember, these are here, so it's giving us this, or linear tangent rather. So we're getting this nice fall off, but we can improve this even more. So go ahead and select these, and we're going to break these, break tangents. And what that does is that gives me more control over these handles. So each side I can sort of adjust the fall off of this. And what I'm looking for is a nice round arc instead of this weird curvature that kind of comes off. This soft curvature, I want to be a little bit more pronounced and stronger in the way this falls off. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now notice that if I move this other side here, let me extend this out a little bit. The other side of this curve follows with it. And that's what breaking the tangents does, right? So if I go in here and break this, you can see I can adjust these independently. So let's move this back to 72. Now when I press play, you'll notice it has more of a pronounced hit at the end of each arc. All right, so now that we've addressed our timing, which is across our graph, right? Let's put this back down here. So in relationship, the timing between each keyframe or the time, and then the spacing between each keys. Let's take a look at our squash and stretch.